everyone, welcome back to my channel, sharoncullenart. Sorry if you hear a fan. I'm trying to warm up my studio. My hands are like ice, and I've got a space heater underneath my table so that I can warm up a little bit. It's up to 64 in here. It was in the 50s when I first came in. I keep forgetting to turn the heater on in the morning. Anyway, it's set at 62, but my thermostat's off. I got to figure that out. But today I'm going to be painting some apples, and I thought maybe you'd like to watch me paint them. I'll show you the photo and you can try and follow along if you'd like. I'll explain a little bit of what I'm doing, but basically I'm just painting a painting and thought I'd do it on camera. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Oh, also I wanted to throw a couple things out there. I do have a laundry list of things here, of requests and stuff that you guys had for my video ideas in my YouTube journal here. Okay, I had pumpkins, which I've done, but I said I would do them again in gouache. Fall landscapes, waterfall, forest path, flowers, buildings, haunted house, gnarly trees, some plein air around the Port Austin area, which I still plan to get to. A cornucopia, that one might be very interesting. Indian corn, loose style. Whoever sent this to me, if you're watching, could you let me know what you mean by loose style? You mean you want the entire style of the painting loose, or you want the corn loose? I'm not sure which you meant. And doing corn in a loose style, like stylized in a loose painting, I need a little more detail on detail, no pun intended, on what you're asking me to do. A parrot or other colorful birds, a moose, stones and rocks, which I've done, my blue jars, which I've done once in a journal, and I can do them again as a painting, I suppose. Then I had some ideas, possibly a scarecrow, some apples, which I'm going to be doing today. And then I had another idea for Christmas gift ideas. Not only art supplies, but things that you might want in your art studio or your art area. So let me know if you are responsive to this. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like a video on Christmas ideas. I had a bunch of ideas, things that people ask me about commonly in my studio that I use very frequently. Also, another thing that I was going to add to my list was Christmas cards, because I get that every year. Somebody wants me to do Christmas cards, and I have a few videos of Christmas cards. Somebody said, I love Christmas, and she's alone for Christmas, which to me is very sad. I wish you lived in my area because I'd invite you over for Christmas, although with the pandemic, we're not even having our family Christmas party this year, which is really a bummer. I mean, I'll probably see my children, but I won't see my siblings, and that's a drag. But there's probably about 40 of us or more now, maybe 50 in my immediate family, my siblings and their families. So it kind of makes it rough. One's just beat cancer. For the first time, he's in remission. My nephew, for those of you who are praying for him, thank you. I believe he's 39. He just went into remission, and that is just great. I hope he stays there, God willing. And he is such a wonderful young man. My sister-in-law has pulmonary fibrosis, like I told you. Then I have my health problems. My husband's going to be about 2 weeks post-op after his second knee replacement at Christmas. My other sister-in-law is having gastric bypass surgery for weight loss, and shoot, my dad, he can't even be around family. I'm watching an UPS truck go down the street. I'm hoping they're stopping here, but I don't see them coming in. Oh well. They usually start at the end and work forward, but I don't think I have anything coming today. And yeah, so we're not having our family Christmas this year. Apparently Michigan, as of yesterday, was on the world news for a record spike in numbers, and it's funny, I'm not hearing anything about it, but then the news is so, I'm sorry, it is so slanted. Sorry, no politics here. I'm just not going to go there. So I try not to watch the news a whole lot. But anyway, I'm going to do those things, and it's going to take me a while to get through all of these. I have not forgotten you if you left me a request. So let's go around, turn around and get started on my apple painting. I've already drawn out everything and got my colors set aside here, but when I start the apples, I wet the entire apple first, and I sort of let the colors bleed into each other. I go back and I do a lot of layering. Sometimes you'll see me put lines on the apple, and if you look at apples or pictures of apples, you'll see that sometimes there are lines on the apples themselves, or dots. You'll see throughout the video also that I do put paint down and then I remove it. That was in order to keep a pale pink to the reflection on the apples. But over time, I tend to lose some of the reflection, or I don't feel like it's in the exact spot that it should be in. So at the end of the video, I will be using a little bit of white gouache, which I think ended up terrific. It really made it pop. So I went ahead and used that. On the bottom left, the apple that I'll be putting in now, I'm going in with very dark paint. It is completely in shadow, so as I let this dry, then I'm going to go back and add more color to it. I don't know, I believe I used Moon Glow over my red on that one. Now on some of these apples that have dried, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add a second layer of color. Sometimes I'm putting yellow over the red. I'm adding a little bit of green. And I take some liberties because these apples did not have much green on them. I wanted some green in them. If you'd like to see this video in slower motion, you can go to the 3 dots in the right-hand upper corner of the video and click on that, go to playback speed, click on that, and you would be able to speed up or slow down any portion of the video. However, it does also do that to the voice, so you may want to turn your sound off. I know this is the way it is on Apple and Android. I don't know about computers. And I don't think you can do it on a television either. Those kind of have limitations when you watch them on TV. They're great to see on a big screen, but then you can't comment or hit a like button or any of that either, so I don't know. Now remember, if you're a beginner, I'm painting this much slower than what you're actually seeing, so don't try to go too fast if you try to do something like this. I'll show you in this clip how slow I'm going. I don't know how the weather's been where you are, but over here in Michigan, it has been so wet and rainy. We've been getting rain for the last couple of weeks. I'm getting really tired of it. I did see a bit of a sunrise this morning. I was on my way to church and I saw a little bit of it, and then I got there and they had to cancel it because of a funeral, so I came right back home. But I was up early and showered and dressed and ready to go for the day by 8 in the morning, so that was pretty good for me. But anyway, next week for Tiny Tuesday tutorial, I will be doing a Halloween themed tutorial. Somebody wanted a haunted house and another person wanted gnarly trees. So I'm going to try to fit that into my Tiny Tuesday tutorial next week for Halloween, because Halloween falls next Saturday. So I got to squeeze it in now, and then we'll get back to some more fall paintings, and then on to winter, and I'll be doing Christmas cards and all sorts of stuff. Now some apples, if you look at them close, have little speckles on them, so I did add a little bit of salt in on that one apple just to see how that would look. And it works, but I end up wanting to go over it again a little bit, so that didn't help me a whole heck of a lot. I think if you have an apple that has a lot of white speckles, you may want to use a toothbrush with some masking fluid. And then if they're too bright, you can always go over them with a very, very pale shade of red. Now I'm starting the background. I'm just taking a large brush, wetting everything down and going in first with some yellow ochre. Then I'm going to use some of my greens. The photo has some grasses in the background, so I want them to be more fine and distinct in front, and then just kind of fade away in the back. So I'm doing a lot of wet into wet painting at first, and then I'll go in and do some detail. Now I'm going to start pulling out some color where the light is right here, so that the reflection on the apples line up a little bit better. In the photo, you see up at the top in the background, it looks a little bit washed out. That was from the photograph itself, and I don't want to put that in my painting. When you're painting something like that, you have to take that into account, that maybe the photo was a little overexposed, and adjust the lighting in your painting. Now, what I was doing earlier was sprinkling salt into the background in order to give it more, just a nicer look. There was really no specific reason. There weren't flowers in the grass or anything like that, but I thought that it would add interest in the background. So that's why I added it. And you see me using my dryer from time to time, my heat gun right here. What I'm doing is trying to stop the bleeding on the reflections, and eventually I give in to gouache. But I really didn't have to, but the gouache just added, it made it look so much nicer. And that I do right at the end of the painting. Now what I'm going to do is go back with color, add more of the shadowing in so that I get a more dramatic effect. And once I get the shadowing in, then I'm going to be putting in the rest of the cores for the apples. I want to get the curvature, the indentation going in the right direction. When I'm doing that, I want to prevent bleeding as well, so you may see me use my dryer for that. But first I want to get the shadowing finished. Now I'm just sprinkling some water onto that apple to try to get the white spots back, because I did cover them after I had put them in. And then what I do is, after sprinkling, I let it sit for a bit, and then I put the white towel down over it to try to lift the paint off and leave the dots behind. Here I'm just wiping off the salt with a stiff hog bristle brush, and now I'm going to go back in and finish up the details. This painting took me about 2 hours maybe to complete. I'm trying to remember and I really can't, so that's an estimate. Now I'm pulling some gouache out. I actually used, I believe, a little bit of yellow ochre. I used some green and white, and I'm just kind of mixing my colors up as I go. I wanted to use gouache on the grass because of the red in the apples. It was going to change the color too much because they are complementary colors on the color wheel. So I decided to use gouache, which really made a difference. Otherwise, I would have had to go in with masking fluid and mask that out beforehand, and I did not want to do that. So I had decided right from the beginning that I would be using gouache there. Now here I'm switching back to watercolor as I'm working on the apples again, and I'm getting the core put in on this one, and I'm kind of struggling with it because there's also a reflection there, and I couldn't quite get the shape that I wanted with the reflection, so that will help putting the gouache down as well. Because right now when you look at that core on the second apple up on the right, it doesn't have the indentation that it needs, and I'm right here, I keep struggling with it, trying to get it correct. But once I put the gouache in, that will make all the difference. White gouache, that is. When I go to put the reflection back in, that will give it the indentation that it needs. But until I do that, then it just wasn't working out. Now I start going in with the white gouache to finish these up. And while I'm doing that, I'm also wetting my brush and I'm fading the white gouache out so that it's not so stark. The reflection kind of fades away on the edges of the apple. Now I'm just looking at the painting and deciding what I need to do, doing some finishing touches, and then that will be it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember, be courageous, paint with wild abandon, and most of all, be kind to each other. Take care. God bless you.